All right, going to be taking a look at Hasbro mainly because of the fidget spinners. That's going to be our topic today. We've been talking about here for a while. If you're not watching the entire full stream, but right now we are going to be taking a look at the stock Hasbro. Like I said, if we look back in here in the chart, back over here right before the earnings, it looks like February 3rd. We're going to see that the stock was traded at $82 and had a huge run up to $94, $10 gain overnight, going from 2.3 that opened 82.79 on 2.3, followed up on the next day at 2.6. Obviously, you had the weekend there. You guys followed up and opened at 94. Huge move here. Well, the reason because this is when the fidget spinners came out. And overnight, the stock jumped up $10 and has been taken off from there just because of these fidget spinners. And that was a joke as well. So that right there is the earnings. I mean, obviously, this is why we're looking into Hasbro's, because Hasbro is one of the companies that is currently making these fidget spinners among all other companies as well. So with that being said, $155 currently right now for the stock, with the volume at roughly 183,000 shares being traded, a channel up in here that's been traded pretty steady since February, that we see going between the $95 mark up to that 100, the almighty 100, back down to that 95. You guys peep up outside there, getting up to 104, $104. Coming back down again, riding on that trend line, that resistance at about 101. I feel pretty confident with that 101 mark right here as well. I mean, that 101, it's not $100, it's 101. So right now, we'll see how this one goes. It could break through it. The volume is starting to pick up from what I see here in the last week. You guys are getting up right now at $100.55, hitting that 10-day simple moving average right now at $100.73 as well. We're going to be watching for that break. But if history repeats itself, if it doesn't break through there and can't get to, I would personally be watching for a close above 103 to verify a possible breakthrough. But because of the fact that this stock has been trading here in this way for the last few months, I am going to stick with that. It's probably going to bounce off there and pull back down. But we'll see if it holds that 10-day simple moving average as well at $99. I'm going to hand this off to Joe. And if you don't mind, Joe, I would like you to briefly talk about that fidget spinner again, on how the patent was brought to them 20 years ago, if you don't mind. Because I know that we talked about it here briefly, but as well for this one.
Yeah, I gotcha. All right, so yeah, it was invented. The fidget spinner was invented by Catherine Hedinger, and she invented it, like, I don't know, close to probably 30 years ago or so. But 20 years ago, in 1997, she brought it to Hasbro, and they did their tests on it, where they'll have kids probably try it out and stuff like that. But they ended up passing on it, So when she had the patent on it, 20 years later, here you go. So now it's obviously a craze and everything else, but they're selling it now. So I'm not saying that, they waited 20 years to push this out, because obviously the way that these guys operate, it's not the case by any means. But you know what I mean? These things could have been out a long time ago, and obviously the craze is happening now, and they're benefiting from it. But that's that. So this lady invented it because she's seen two people throwing rocks, or little kids throwing rocks at cops. So she wanted to I don't know, create something that would take their mind off of, doing things like that, or like, more something a little more productive for kids, I guess. I don't know, something like that. But I mean, the article, New York Times said, New York Post actually has an article on it. That's why I read that. So you figure 20 years later, and you look at it, fidget spinners are everywhere. They're definitely a craze. So in regards to Hasbro, so I mean, there's always news on Hasbro, So they're I'll just go right to their latest quarterly. It was their first quarter earnings. So first quarter 2017 revenues grew 2% to 849 million. And so 849.7 million, including revenue growth of 2% in the US and Canada segment and 24% in the entertainment and licensing segment. International segments revenues were flat. So growth in franchise brands, Hasbro Gaming, and emerging brands offset the expected decline in partner brands. And then net earnings increased 41% to 68.6 million, or 0.54 per diluted share. Reported net earnings include a 11-cent per diluted share benefit versus the first quarter 2016 for the adoption of the FASU. It's like it's more into it. All right, so the company returned 81.5 million to shareholders in the quarter, 63.4 million in dividends, and 18.1 million in share repurchases. So that press release right there that I was just reading, I just kind of read the bullet points of it rather than just going through the whole thing and everything else, because it goes obviously way more into detail with it. And Hasbro's a huge company that makes billions a year, so I mean, there's obviously a lot of due diligence to be had on it, but I mean, they are definitely structurally sound in my opinion. And because I mean, I recall obviously growing up, I remember Hasbro since I was a kid because your corporate offices are in Providence, some in Providence, how it goes. So I remember a time when they weren't in the position they're in now, So they've definitely turned around. Great company. So with that being said, if you want to do more due diligence on Hasbro, go right over to the HAS board on Investors Hangout. From there, you'll see the company profile, the time and sales, the recent news, the filings, the financials, the buy rating. That's all right there at your fingertips, so you can sit there and go through and do a lot of due diligence. And then if you have an opinion on the company, you can basically roll it into that message board and share it with the tens of thousands of like-minded investors that we have using Investors Hangout daily.
All right, to follow up with Joe, what he was just talking about here, the buy rating, that's what I was pulling up here. If you were watching, hold right now, number of analysis reporting, going to be 5. And all 5 of them said hold. You can go through all this information down here. I personally, back when I used to trade, I never really went off of this kind of stuff. That is me personally, okay? Whatever works for you, works for you. But me, I'm just voicing my opinion. That's not something that I really went off of. Recent news, again, like Joe was just talking about, all at your fingertips. All you got to do is click on the headline, and the news will pop up right at you, as well as the time and sales. So if you don't watch each trade all day long, if it's something you're interested in, you can come over here and take a look at all the trades. I mean, looking at this right here, is being a big board stocks, not a lot of trades all the time. And I mean, if you look at Apple, it's like every second, you know what I mean? But right here, 10:30:56, and then 10:30:57. I guess that there's a little bit of a spread, but right here, this is what I'm talking about. You had one spread at 10:31 in 10 seconds, and then the next one wasn't for another 50 seconds later. What really does that mean? I mean, it really doesn't mean too much besides the fact that, it's not like one of those stocks that's traded like every single second. But we'll get back to that again. I mean, if you follow this one, all these tools are at your fingertips completely free here on Investors Hangout, not only for this stock, but every other publicly traded company. Back on the chart right here, $100.66. Like I said, resistance at 101 and support at 98.91, 30-day simple moving average, and $95 as well, which is where I put that around here, that bottom of that trend line that I was following across here. So HAS, Hasbro. If you follow the stock, make sure you hit that subscribe and like button. We'd appreciate it very much. And check us out live, investorshangout.com/live.